Well, hello, and welcome to another episode of Marriage Matters with Ken and Shar. Got a special little episode today. It is, what's today, the 17th, and that makes it the day before Father's Day. My son and his beautiful wife, Vanna, and 3 of our grandkids have just come by the house to wish me a happy Father's Day. And I thought, why not do an interview and talk a little bit of father-son stuff? It kind of makes sense because Shar and I are right in the middle of a 2-part episode on what we call our inner circle, which is really all about how do you protect and guard the righteousness, joy, and peace of God in your home life. And so I thought Coleman and Vanna come from another generation completely than I am from. I thought they are so busy, I guess like we were during that time in our life, but protecting those things is quite a chore. So Coleman, it's good to have you here, son. How you doing, bub?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm so glad you guys came by. The kids look awesome. You and Vanna look great. You're heading out tomorrow for a week-long camp, right?
Yeah, we're going out to Mount Herman up in Northern California, up near Santa Cruz.
I was talking to your mom. How many years now? This is the 3rd running year?
This is the 2nd year that we've gotten.
Second year. So. Okay. How fun. Well, I'm glad you're here, and thanks for being willing to let me do this, something off the cuff like this. I appreciate it, man.
Oh,
so
no problem.
Just share a little bit about you guys, kind of where you are in life, what you do, so everybody can kind of get a feel for how busy you guys are.
Well, first, we're in our late 30s. My wife's name is Vanna. I work for the local fire department. I work shift work, 48-hour shifts. We have 3 kids, 11, 9, and 7, 2 boys, and then the youngest is a little girl. We've been married for 14 years, got married back in 2009. So my math should be correct on that.
Yeah.
And we're in the middle of school just ended. So that's a little bit of a break.
Summer's here. Yeah.
We're in the middle of kids getting ready to get to junior high, sports, tons of sports, just constant action. Kids got to be outside.
And you're just finishing up your degree. You decided to go back. You've got school for you going on, and you're just about done, right?
Yeah, my final class ended 2 days ago. I hope I passed it, and if I passed it, then I'll officially have my bachelor's degree once the piece of paper comes.
So with the career going and kids in school and sports and everything, you feel like you didn't have enough going on. You decided to go back and get a degree, huh?
Yeah. I don't know if it was the best decision. It definitely took a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of effort. But
well, we're all proud of. Everybody's proud of you. It's awesome that you did. I tried it and couldn't do it. You know the story. I went back and there was just our kids were right about the ages of your kids. And one night heading out to that was a math test or something, night school. I left your mom puddled up in a bunch of tears because I just had been gone so much. And I said, never again. I cannot. When I was pastoring a church at the time, I cannot do it all. So for me, there just wasn't room, but I'm really proud of you, son. You've done a great job getting that done.
Well, thanks. But that's the difference. I mean, now I never had to leave a wife, just hopped on the computer and worked a little bit, ticked away at it. And, you know, I never had to go to an actual class.
We didn't have that option. That's awesome. So the reason I and just so everybody will know, I called Coleman, I don't know, a couple hours before they were scheduled to come by the house today. And I said, look, let me just interview you, man. This might be fun just to do a Father's Day kind of special episode for everybody. So I really appreciate you being willing to, but it really is timely because we just laid down, our last episode was all about our inner circle. You've heard me mention that and teach about that over the years and trying to preserve. If 2 people, a husband and wife, claim the lordship of Jesus in their life, then every expectation should be that where he's Lord, the kingdom is there. And the Bible says in Romans 14:17 that the kingdom isn't measured by eating and drinking, or in common language, not how much money you have in your bank account or how big your house is or the car you drive. Whether the kingdom is in your home or not and operating there, whether Jesus is really Lord, you know this, Cole, is measured by righteousness and joy and peace there by the Holy Spirit. So the big question is, as busy as you guys are, and I know you're a lot of young people are just as busy as you. It's just the way of life these days. But how in the world and how tough is it to manage those things and manage a busy household and still experience the presence of the Lord there? It's a big challenge.
It's really tough. I think the hardest thing about it is that you don't recognize that those things are gone quickly.
Yeah.
It's
drift happens pretty quick.
You find yourself, day by day, you slowly can drift without realizing. And you're like, man, we still have joy-ish. We still have peace-ish. And you don't realize
we're better than most.
that as life gets busy, you think you can do it all. You think you can have it all.
Right.
And you find yourself so far away so quickly that, and it's one of the wonderful things. It's usually my wife that's the one that recognizes it, and she's like,
"Isn't that great? Oh
yeah, you don't have peace.
Yeah,
you don't have joy right now." And it's something that it's so quick to drift far away, and it's just a daily kind of decision to focus on the chaos of the world as opposed to really dive into the Lord's truths.
I know for your mom and I, we're from a completely different generation. The challenges that we faced, I don't think are as daunting as the challenges that you guys faced, to be honest with you. And we knew what we had to navigate to protect our inner circle from all the challenges, whether that's busyness or other people invading that circle, money issues, intimacy issues, whatever it is, but keeping that inner circle filled with the righteousness, joy, and peace of God. But from another generation, what are you seeing today? What are the greatest challenges that your generation, young people in their late 20s, all the way up to 40, 45, right in that busiest time of life, multiple children, careers going? What are the challenges you guys are facing?
I think some of the biggest differences that as you kind of sent me this and I was thinking about it, I would think that the people that would try and have input in your life in your generation was probably your parents and some of your closest friends.
Yeah.
And sometimes that can be good. Sometimes it can be bad.
Right.
Is their influence into your inner circle. Now, society, every single person, whether it is the government, whether it is social media, they have a very, very clear vision and direction of how your family should be.
Wow.
And there's a constant attack. There's from the school systems, and we absolutely love our school that we go to, but
overall, I know, not everybody is blessed to have a district like that.
Yes. And every entity has, they feel that they have the authority to speak into your family, and that's the big thing, is that it's your family. It's nothing else. And you can get so quickly distracted and afraid to lead it strongly and to lead it rightly, because everywhere you turn, they're saying, this is how you need to raise a family. This is what you need to do, or this is what you don't need to do, either by law or by opinion, the court of public opinion. And that's just such a consistent, frankly, attack.
Yeah. You and Van have been married how many years now?
14 years.
Yeah. So by now, let me just ask the question straight up. And I didn't preempt you with this question, but let me ask it anyway. I know for us, looking just over time, we've been married 46 years, your mom and I, and the challenges have changed, but what we've really seen change is just the battle. It is more fierce. It seems that the assault on marriage particularly, but marriage and family has grown, and it's everywhere. And now we're fighting for our life. It feels like by fighting, I mean, to preserve God's design, to have a marriage that reflects a designer, that God designed it for his glory, for our highest good. Being a man should look like this. Being a woman should look like, the home should look like this, with righteousness, joy, and peace there. But the battle seems to have gotten more and more ferocious as time's gone on. Do you find that in your 14 years of, did you say 13 or 14? 14. Have you seen it getting just the battle raging more and more?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's every year. And one of the early on, we got off of all social media.
Did you?
And that was a wonderful decision that my wife actually spurned. She spearheaded.
Yeah.
She initially was the one that said, we need to just get off of all this stuff. And it was great. It was a lot of clarity in that moment, and continuing to be off of that and out of that realm has really slowed that down a little bit.
Yeah.
But overall, it's still very much there.
So that's how you guys met. Let's just say that challenge, right? For peace in your home and those kind of things. Do you feel like social media is a challenge that young couples just have to face? They've got to deal with it. Not that everyone would deal with it the same way as you guys have, but it's unavoidable. They have to talk about it, deal with it, right?
There's got to be a good plan. However, it's going to be in each of your lives, whether it's together or individually. Everybody has to be on the same page, and everybody has to be comfortable. There has to be almost a spit in the hand, and this is how we are going to navigate this path, and a clear set of rules on in the same way of who we talk to, who we allow into our lives.
Yeah, just your social life,
no
in
matter
general.
what. My wife would never let me go out and have lunch with another female, and that's completely acceptable, and that's completely normal.
Right.
And yet, a lot of people may not have that rule on. I'm not going to contact a member of the opposite sex on social media, and to them, without that actual expectation. And I'm sure you'll go into expectation and disappointment at some point, but many of the tools that we've learned from you guys, without that agreement, you have to have something to go back on, to have like, this is how we do that. And so when there is an offense, that it's a clear offense and an understanding.
Yeah. Have you guys missed it? There's been a number of things over the years that your mom and I have chucked out of our life too. Options that we just feel like, okay, this or that. And I won't go into them, but different things that are optional. They're not good, bad, evil in themselves, but they just, you gotta make decisions about them, from what movies we watch to issues regarding social drinking or, all that. When you jettison social media out of your guys' life, do you miss it at all? Or is it like,
I'm not gonna lie, there's a lot of entertainment in it. There's a lot of mindless entertainment in it. And even to the point where friends have been slowly drifting apart a little bit, those types of things. My high school reunion came and passed, and I never got an invitation. I had no clue that it was. And it was something that we probably would have loved to go to had we known about it. And so there's a lot of that stuff where it's just, it feels at times the world goes on without you. And that's also a particular challenge of having a spouse in shift work, where it's the same kind of feeling that it's an inconsistent schedule. And you guys have seen the battle of that. Is that it feels like life goes on without us many times. So without social media, that feeling is there. And we do miss that to a point.
Your shift is 2 days on, 2 days off, right? So you're gone 48 hours at a time, at least, if you're not on a strike team on a fire, which can be up to 20 days or so.
Yeah.
So talk just real quickly. Shift work is not uncommon these days. A lot of guys do it. A lot of women do it too. So what are some of the things that you guys have had to do or learn to face down that challenge and to overcome just scheduling issues?
Part of it is that when I go to work, I go into work mode, and it's easy for me to almost, not even necessarily in a negative way. A buddy of mine that I work with, we're talking about this just the other day. It's really easy to almost have two lives, to have a station life and the guys that I work with there, and we go about our life, and it's almost, sadly, the natural instinct is that family can even be put on the back burner while we're there. And then we go home and we're a part of the family. But there's a lot of, you kind of easily take one hat off and then put on another hat. And so there's a lot of times where I have to be very intentional in making sure that I'm staying plugged in with the family when I'm gone, and having consistent contact with Vanna and the kids, and spending time with them, even finding ways to send them videos or little things like that when I'm gone.
Well, you used a big word there, intentionality. I mean, that's half the battle, isn't it? Is just not floating along with the flow of things, but actually being intentional. Your mom and I have learned that if we'll be intentional about our inner circle and protecting it together, and keeping the righteousness, joy, and peace of God there, and making the adjustments in life that we need to, that it happens. We do it. We're on it, right? But without intentionality, I could see us just, again, floating along, drift happening so slowly, kind of a slow erosion can happen. So intentionality plays such a big part. So how big of a place does the disciplines of just like family prayer or family worship together, or just family conversations. I know when you look back at our life, your mom and I made a conscious decision, talk about intentionality, but it was intentional. We went out at one point and bought $150 worth of board games, Yahtzee and different things, because we found that when you've got teenage, as an example, your oldest, Ronan, is now what? 11. Okay, so you're getting there.
Yeah.
With teenagers, the communication slows down. They're not so forthcoming, right?
Yeah.
And so we had to find a way to keep the channels of communication open. And we did that through games. We'd be playing, cards 1 minute or Monopoly 1 minute, and next minute, yeah, he crushed me at everything. No mercy. But the next minute, we're actually talking about what's going on at school. So the game would stop. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have to probe. We weren't invading. It just would happen kind of naturally, right?
Yeah.
So between family worship or family praying together or communicating together, how big of a place do those things have in keeping peace in the home and the joy of the Lord in the home?
I think they have a huge place, and especially to do it in a particular way. I think, like, when I look back at my childhood, the way you guys raised it, I don't remember very specific, like, mm-hmm. Hey, now we are going to pray together. We're all going to hold hands. Let's sit around, right, and we're going to pray, and then we're going to sing these 4 worship songs. An alarm
goes off, 7 o'clock. Here we go.
Yeah. There was never anything like that. It was always, like you said, around games and around those times. And I think the biggest thing is going back to that intentionality. Just what you said is that seeking out every opportunity to find moments to speak into,
right?
To find those opportunities to talk about biblical truths, to talk about just the struggles of life, and sharing things, and praying through problems, and having wisdom in those moments, and not necessarily drawing a map and doing these certain things, but instead saying, Lord, whatever time we use, we're going to be specific in having time.
Yeah.
In whatever it is, playing games. We play games all the time. Every opportunity I get, we're going to either throw a football around or play a board game or a card game. And and I just seek out opportunities to talk to them, just to treat them like the little humans they are, and just share thoughts and beliefs and who the Lord is in our lives, and how that looks, both the good and the bad, working through the issues of this world.
So what about like Bible reading, prayer time, stuff like that? Like, kind of, how do you go about that?
So one of the things that we do most often right now is there's a little, we've found a little Bible that it's got pictures and it tells stories really easily with the kids. And the big thing is not just having those biblical stories, but the way that the actual reading of that Bible, and we try and do it at least once a week, is sit down, have breakfast. Another big thing is having meals as a family, sitting down. That's a great way to open up conversation. But we sit down, we will have breakfast together. We'll read through this little Bible, and the story in the Bible may cover Esther, and it'll be 5 or 10 minutes tops. But the conversation that then leads into the story of Esther and how that then looks into our life, and going back to all the teachings that I remember going through with you was so what now? How does this look in our life?
Yeah.
How do we make this message of thousands of years ago look relevant into our kids' lives and into our lives?
Yeah.
So having that time to just spend and
That's
read
cool.
and commit to that, and surely you see their desire in their heart to start learning more biblical truths and see who the Lord was then, because they do start seeing how that reflects them now.
Right. Awesome. I know we were big on traditions, not just the yearly stuff, but just small traditions that were kind of natural for our family. I know you and Vanna love some traditions. What do you guys do? Just share that. How important are traditions when it comes to building a godly household?
So I think some of the biggest traditions for us that we found are the traditions that revolve around Vanna and I getting time together. Is whatever that is. It's our one of our Valentine's Day traditions is that we each get $20. We go to Target or Walmart, and on Valentine's Day we split up. We go and you have $20 and 30 minutes, go find a
get it
gift.
done.
And then we laugh of like, oh, okay, it's funny to see people's thought process and going through that and just spending little time together. We do a lot of what we call late night date nights, where we kick the kids to bed early. We'll go buy some food and we'll cook for each other, and we'll sit down. We'll just hang out and talk and catch up and have a little date at home. And we're also really open and honest with the kids about that moment. Like that's our time together. And I think exemplifying.
So you communicate with them about that. They get what's going on.
Oh, yeah. They know really clearly that as mom and dad go, so goes the family.
Yeah, right.
We're going to make sure that we are right and that we are good together. That our family doesn't revolve around their lives. It revolves around mine and Vanna's life first.
Yeah.
And when that is solid, when that is good, everything's going to go so much smoother.
It's so cool. As we will start to wrap this up now, but I was just reading in the Psalms here today, just with Father's Day coming tomorrow. The psalmist writes at one point, one generation shall praise your works to another and shall declare your mighty acts. That's what you're doing in those times where you sit with the kids, you get an open Bible and you talk about how good the Lord is. That's what one generation does. So it hands down a view of the nature of God, the goodness of the Lord. Another psalm in Psalm 44:1 says, we have heard with our ears, O God, our fathers have told us the deeds you did in their days, in days of old. You know, we always used to talk to you guys just about, again, how good the Lord is and how he's come through so many different ways in our life. I know that you and Vanna are very open about your walk with Jesus, with your kids and the goodness of the Lord. And that's just so awesome. Okay, so let's wrap it up with one more question here. Some young guy, early 20s or late 20s, maybe, wife, pregnant with their first child, comes to you and asks you advice about fatherhood. What do you tell him?
I would say, look at the example that our father gave us. I had a wonderful example from you, from my dad on this earth.
I'll give you 20 minutes to stop that.
But the big example is from the Lord. Is from the Bible, and knowing his heart, and he's really laid it out really clearly how we are to firmly but in love raise our children.
Mm-hmm.
And looking to that example, there's no real perfect example, obviously, on this earth.
Sure.
You may have a great example of what to do from your dad, or a great example of what not to do from your dad.
Right.
But if you build it only off of that, then you are going to fail.
Yeah.
And ultimately you are going to fail.
Yeah.
You're going to come up short in your children's lives, but following the Lord's example through it, and understanding where his heart was and what he's massaging into you and how he massages it into you is the same way that we're supposed to be doing with our children.
Right.
It's no different. That relationship is really no different. And it's the perfect example of that. And I think I remember talking to you really early on about your childhood and the lack of that to a point. And you were,
I come from a single parent home raised by my mom.
And I'd always asked, like, how did you do as well as you did? And you said, well, I had a great example in the Lord. And once I learned who the Lord was, and I gave my life to Christ, and I started seeing that example, it didn't matter what example I did or didn't get from my own dad.
Right.
Because I had that example in the Lord.
Oh, that's so true.
I think that's really the key, is just seeking out that.
So true. Amen. Well, this verse will be shared churches all over the place tomorrow. Proverbs 17:6, grandchildren are the crown of old men, right? And you've given me 3 I have 10 total now, 9 and 1 that's being fostered. And they truly are a crown to me. But then it goes on to say, and the glory of sons is their father. That's pretty exciting. That's to say that you're going to be the glory of Ronan and Grant and Colby Joy's life as a dad. You're doing a fantastic job, son. I love you so much. Thanks for doing this with me and on such a whim without much notice. I appreciate it, man.
Well, thanks for having me. Happy Father's Day, Dad. I've really genuinely enjoyed these 37 years with you, and you've done a wonderful job. And I'm excited to see this.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay. Well, gang, thanks for tuning in today. We'll get right back to the second part of guarding your inner circle in the next episode. Again, Cole, thanks for coming in. Gang, thanks for listening. God bless y'all. Until next time, remember, your marriage matters. Bye-bye.